Dunkirk is directed by Christopher Nolan and it stars Fionn Whitehead, Tom Hardy, Kenneth Branagh, and many others. And this, of course, is about the 400,000 men who were trapped in the beaches of Dunkirk waiting for rescue. French and Englishmen are allies against the Germans, and they are surrounded in land, sea, and sky. And what this movie does is make you witness the events of the evacuation of these brave men from the beaches of Dunkirk, and it's a very guttural, visceral experience. Guys, this is a very special review for me. I am a huge fan of Christopher Nolan. He is my favorite director of all time. Thanks to him, I decided one day that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And since that moment came in, I went on this path. Eventually, I started this YouTube channel. So this is a special review. I get to talk about my favorite filmmaker and his latest work as it comes out. And this is one of the best films of the year and one of the best war films ever. This is in the holy trinity of war films alongside Saving Private Ryan and Hacksaw Ridge. If you know anything about Christopher Nolan and how he works with narratives, and this is coming from someone who studied him thoroughly, you know that he has these genius takes on narratives. For instance, The Prestige. How he structures the narrative on that film is exactly how you structure a magic trick. In this movie, he structures it very well according to location, and in one other aspect that I do not want to spoil because it was a great surprise in the film. A lot of people will complain about characters. Right away I can tell you we are not going to agree on this film. We are all going to say, I think that this movie is good on different levels, but we are not going to feel the same about it in general. This movie doesn't have characters per se. You don't feel attached to the characters of Tom Hardy or Kenneth Branagh or Fionn Whitehead or even Harry Styles. The characters in this movie are the air battles, the sea battles, and the land battles. These sequences structure and encompass the whole movie, and they make you feel there and immerse you in this situation with these characters feeling trapped and lost and hopeless. And the movie grabs you and it doesn't let you go, because a lot of people complain about the runtime of this movie. It's pitch perfect. The runtime of this movie gets you right in with the battles. It starts right away with an attack and it ends in the most brutal and honest way possible. The ending of this movie is exactly how a mic drop should be. It's precisely because of such a tight runtime that you feel that the situation could end at any moment. You never know. It's why the runtime is this way that this movie works the most, alongside some key visual storytelling and impressive sound design. And don't even get me started on the cinematography. Every fucking shot in this movie had my jaw. There are things in this movie that Christopher Nolan captures with the camera and alongside the cinematography, things that they worked on together. It's what movies were made for. The shots in this movie are the best of this year, bar none. There is no competition for how this movie is shot and what it shoots, because it takes you for a journey. And Christopher Nolan, being the master that he is, he works with the camera in this movie using several different styles, and styles that work for different situations. As I said, the structure is not exactly linear, but how he deals with the battles and the locations as characters themselves is something astounding and something of pure genius and uniqueness, and that is what you get from a man like Christopher Nolan. He makes some very unique choices, and some choices that you are not expecting, and some choices that will not please a lot of people. As I said, we are not going to agree on this movie, most of us, and this movie will certainly be divisive. But let me tell you, the action sequences are so gripping. I was white-knuckle throughout the entire runtime of this movie. That doesn't happen. And let me tell you right now, the sound in this movie, the sound design, the sound mixing, the score by the god himself, Hans Zimmer, is orgasmic. Everything about the sound in this movie is what God sounds like when he speaks. You have never listened to God until you hear Dunkirk. And you got several storylines happening within these characters. There are the battles and the locations. You got several storylines on the sea with Mark Rylance and some other fellas. You got several storylines with Tom Hardy in the air and some other fella that I will not say who it is. And you got a lot of stories focusing on the evacuation from land into sea by these brave men. There are a lot of moments that make you feel for these men and their situation because it focuses on the human drama and conflict. For instance, the Englishman and the Frenchman in this movie, they're allies, but they're not friends. You get a few sprinkles of that here and there just to set it up. It doesn't need to be the focus on the movie. But when these guys are in tough moments, in tough situations, and they feel so trapped and lost, you really see how humans are flawed and sometimes they focus on stuff that they shouldn't. I could talk for hours about Dunkirk and about how Christopher Nolan uses his uniqueness and genius to work with this. It's a very unique narrative, a narrative that you haven't seen before, and a narrative that you must expect from a man like Christopher Nolan. Everything looks fabulous. The score is orgasmic, as is the cinematography. The performances are all around great, and the directing is fucking 100% flawless. Dunkirk is now the third movie that is fighting to be the #1 of 2017 for me, alongside War for the Planet of the Apes and Logan. I cannot decide at this moment, but what I can decide is that Dunkirk is a masterwork in war films, in human drama films. It is an all-timer, and it is the stuff that dreams are made of. What did you think of Dunkirk, my beautiful geekies? Have you seen it? Have you not? Watch it in IMAX, please. And if you can, 70mm film, because I wish I had that chance. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what is your favorite war film, and let me know what is your favorite Christopher Nolan film. I can't wait to see your comments and talk about my favorite director. Thank you so much for watching. One more time, this is my last review outside of my home. I will return this weekend with Cars 3. Yes, I will still see that one. You guys are the freaking best. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for everything. And so until Cars 3, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so we can be geeky united!